It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all for HR Caucus 2012, elucidating the facets of HR. It is a privilege to have you all in this gathering to create a drive that is discuss, review, implement, validate, and endorse the ways of bridging the skill gap, a national agenda for HR. HR Caucus is a platform for three vertices of human resource, namely HR professionals who are experiencing continuously the different facets of HR in different industries and who are innovating the ways of handling challenges in their organizations and who are still on the verge to create on the better today. And then the academicians, the bridge between the source and the destiny, the outlet for students and beginners in the field, and mentors for knowledge seekers. And then the students who are going to evolve as professionals in future and somewhere ready to get absorbed in a corporate for greater challenges. I strongly believe that this convention is going to be a start for something in some way for everyone. Whatever it may be, still holding to the objective of this convention to discuss, implement, validate, endorse, that is ensured to create a drive. I thank everyone for accepting our invitation and putting your hands on this national issue. Sometimes we have heard about this, sometimes we have thought about this, sometimes somewhere we would have even experienced this. But here on this day, we are together to share our views about skill gap. I once again welcome you all for HR Caucus 2012. I take the privilege to call upon our esteemed guest to the stage. Can we have Mr. K.R.S.R. Krishna, Vice President, Petrofac Engineering Services Private Limited, Mr. N. Murugesan, Founder and Chairman, Muva Trust, Dr. N. Sethuraman, Founder and Chairman, Meenakshi Missions, Mr. G.D. Sharma, Principal Beeline HR Advisory, Mr. M. Umapati Sir, Chairman, Voltec Group, and Mrs. Kalaivani Umapati, Director, Voltec Engineers Private Limited. I kindly request the audience to stand up for a silent prayer in the memorial of people who lost their lives in the Mumbai terror attacks on the same day 2008 and also for universal peace and national harmony. Let us start this pleasant occasion in the lighting of Kuthuvelakku. May I call upon the dignitaries on the stage, I take privilege to call upon Mr. K.R.S.R. Krishna, Vice President, Petrofac Engineering Services Private Limited. Dr. N. Sethuraman, Founder and Chairman, Meenakshi Missions. Mr. G. B. Sharma, Principal, Beeline HR Advisory. Mrs. Vishnupriya Manoharan, AGM HR and Admin, Techpro Systems Limited. Mrs. Kalevani Umapati, Director, Voltec Engineers Private Limited. Thank you, sir and madam. I kindly request our chairman, Mr. M. Umapati, sir, to give away the welcome speech.
Very good morning to one and all. It is my pleasure to extend my warm welcome to the eminent personalities on stage, the session moderators, speakers, observers, directors, corporate and HR's representative from media, government officials, professors and placement officers from various institutions, and beloved students, to the second gathering of HR professionals titled HR Caucus 2012. HR Caucus started in the year 2011, creating an opportunity for such a gathering of personalities from different verticals of HR, including the corporate HRs, academicians, and students sharing their views in various aspects of HR and latest challenges and development in the field of recruitment, training and development. This includes industrial relations and different domains of HR in general. With the same spirit, in 2012, HR Caucus is geared up to create a drive on bridging the skill gap, a national agenda for HR. An emerging, significant and complex challenge set in a real big size in front of India's growth and future is the shortage of appropriately skilled labor across many industries. To look upon this issue in a macro perspective of mine, I actually perceive the growing pulse of skill gap as reflection of slim availability of high quality education in India and the galloping pace of the country's service-driven economy, thus the so-called gap being created out of this imbalance between demand and supply in terms of quality rather than quantity is putting forward and a great challenge to all of us. To add on to this, in India, it is growing at a faster pace than in any other country. In the other phase of India, we see business initiatives to be doubled and tripled, subsequently increasing the workforces. No doubt we are striving in the global marketplace. It is imperative to plan for a world-class, competent, talented and innovative workforce. In this demand-supply scenario, A look at the Indian education system will reveal that the number of technical schools in India, including engineering colleges, has actually more than tripled in the last decade, according to the All India Council of Technical Education. The best and most selective universities generate too few graduates, and new private colleges are producing graduates of uneven quality. Hence, the students churned out are not equipped to meet the current industry requirements, and often companies have to incur additional expenses to train new hires. In response to the challenges, many companies today have intensified their academic interventions in order to tackle the impending shortage of knowledge workers. In the view of the above, I am very much pleased to have eminent panel members to discuss and enlighten the younger generation about the importance of the skills they should possess to thrive in competitive business, not only for the individual and also for the society. I, in fact, strongly believe that whatever we discuss here in this platform should be beneficial to all the aspects of the people who experience these problems. No doubt, it is together who strive to overcome the so-called skill gap. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I request Mr. G.D. Sharma, Principal Beeline HR Advisory, to share a few words about the conference.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, dignitaries on the dais, my fellow HR professionals, and other invitees. When we first conceived of this subject for this conference, what was running in our mind was the fact that the human resource function today is not, and I'm qualifying myself, I don't have any hesitation in saying this, the human resource function is not addressing issues of national importance at the shop floor level. National importance at the shop floor level meaning a subject like skill gap. And I think that is one area where HR professionals have been often criticized by their line managers and by other functionaries to say that HR really is not coming to grips with real life issues and so on and so forth, which are absolutely and directly business aligned and business linked and so on and so forth. So to in our mind, to us as organizers of this conference, what really hit us very strongly was this yawning gap between availability, as the chairman had just now mentioned, the availability in terms of quantity of manpower in the country, and the gap arising due to the lack of quality in the manpower and therefore the skill requirements and the skill levels which are currently obtaining, thanks to our educational system in the country and so on and so forth, which is still at pains to link itself with industry requirements and so on. So this, according to us, was a very grave, a very kind of a real issue that was staring us in the face, and we thought that this should be the topic of discussion where we can have eminent speakers coming to us from the industry, from the government, and of course from the user point of view, which is the HR practitioners. So in a way, we have also instituted what is called as the 3P concept, the private-public partnership concept. Incidentally, the 3P concept, the private-public partnership, is the model or the design that has been adopted by the Government of India when it constituted the National Skill Development Corporation to address this issue at the national level. So just to set the context for the subject and for the day, and for all our deliberations and thought processes for the day, let me take you through some of the key elements of this subject at the national level, and how therefore at the individual corporate level, at the individual shop floor level, at the work level, how are we going to address some of these issues is what we are going to see during the course of their day, when practitioners will come from various companies, various sectors, to tell us how they are addressing the skill gap issue at the micro level. So let me first start with the macro level so that we understand the broader picture much better in order to absorb the day's proceedings. At a global level, India's 2011-2012 GDP is actually the fourth largest in the world at 4.5 trillion Indian rupees at the purchasing power parity basis. And so that really is a starting point. We are a aggressively growing economy. There could be issues at the political level and at the party level. But I think as an economy, the Indian economy is still considered very bullish. We read interviews in daily newspapers about various investment companies and asset management organizations and private equity funds and those kinds of analyst organizations which tell us that they are very, very bullish on India. And that's the reason why we are also standing here and talking about a national agenda at a local level. The second interesting facet of our economy is that India's largest sector is today the service sector, which accounts for 57.2% of the country's GDP. More than half of the country's GDP is represented by the services sector. And interestingly, the industry sector accounts for 28.6%, and of course 14.6% of the GDP is represented by agriculture. But ironically, though agriculture is the least contributor to the GDP, it happens to be still the largest employer because 52% of all employment is from agricultural sector. And having come from an infrastructure and from a projects background, having worked in companies like L&T and BGR Energy, I can say that the second biggest employer in the country after agriculture is the construction sector, which has about, by last count, it had about 45 million people in the workforce as a construction sector, as an infrastructure sector. And the other interesting fact is that currently our labor force in India is about 500 million. And interestingly, again, 86% of this 500 million is from the unorganized sector. So what are we really talking about? We are talking about skill gap primarily in the unorganized sector, which represents 86% of the workforce in India. And most of us sitting here, I hope I can take this risk of saying that most of us represent 14% of the workforce, which is the organized sector and so on. So that's one very interesting facet of the national economy in terms of the demographics, or in terms of the composition of the workforce across sectors. The second very interesting thing is that, rather a positive aspect, is that India is on an annual basis creating about 1.5 million jobs. And that is confined to the 13 large sectors of India. India's large 13 industry sectors in 2011 created about 1.4 million jobs. And for the current year, 2012, it is estimated that we will create about 1.6 million jobs for the current year and so on. The third interesting aspect of this workforce and the skill gap is that a survey of 639 companies recently across 13 industry sectors in 8 major Indian cities showed that healthcare, hospitality, ITES, non-machinery manufacturing, media and entertainment are most optimistic about hiring activities, in the sense that they are going to be the most bullish in terms of hiring activity. Healthcare is projected to generate more than 2,73,000 jobs, followed by hospitality, about 2,30,000 jobs, and ITES, 2,27,000 jobs, and so on and so forth. The other interesting facet or statistic or a factual information is that Microsoft has commissioned a study for the IT sector, and it predicts that by the year 2015, cloud computing as a domain will itself generate over 2 million jobs. So that just one domain in IT is actually more than what healthcare or what hospitality can generate. So that's the power of computing. That's the power of the IT technology that is really helping India to be present in the world map, as it were. And so therefore this study is a very path-breaking study, and it says that 2 million jobs in India alone will be created through the cloud computing domain. And very interestingly, around 14 million jobs will be created around the world only based on cloud computing. So that's the power of the IT as a potential employer of manpower in India. The other interesting statistic is that more than 50% of all these jobs that I mentioned will be generated in the small and the medium sector. So that's again good news for the SME sector, which the Government of India and CII and several other employers federations and employers organizations are very, very clear and conscious about promoting the SME sector. And so that's really good news for the SME sector, because 50% of such jobs are going to be generated in the SME sector. The other very interesting thing is that everybody knows this, that India has a demographic advantage in the sense that it has the youngest population, working population in the world. The current average age of the Indian workforce is 28 years, and we are ahead of China and rest of the world. And so therefore that's going to be the real challenge for India at an economy, at a political, at a country level, in order to provide jobs, meaningful jobs for these young minds which are restless, typically Generation Y workforce, who are going to be very restless. And so it's a sociological crisis or a sociological challenge as well, to be able to provide meaningful jobs to these young and restless minds, which is the youngest and the largest population in the world. And the other very interesting aspect about this young population in India is that the rest of the population in Europe and in several other Western countries is actually aging. And so the Indian workforce is actually going to find jobs not only in India but in rest of the world. So that's the real good news about the about all this skill availability and the skill dimension. But then what really ails the country, and why are we really talking about the skill gap and bridging the skill gap today? The biggest ailment, the biggest what shall I say, the biggest deficiency is of course the country's educational system, which does not focus on training young people in employable skills that can provide them with employment opportunities, meaningful employment opportunities. Today, a large section of India's labor force has outdated skills. With current and expected economic growth, this challenge is only going to increase further, since more than 75% of the new job opportunities are expected to be skill-based job opportunities. So that much more is going to be the focus on skill development and skill upgradation. The Government of India is therefore strongly emphasizing on upgrading people's skills by providing vocational education and training to them. It has formulated what is today come to be known as the NSDC, or the National Skill Development Corporation. It has initiated a national policy on skill development, and it has set a target for providing skills to 500 million people. That means, if you remember what I said earlier, our current workforce is 500 million. And the Government of India by 2022 wants this to be doubled to another 500 million, who will be trained across India, across all sectors, across emerging sectors, and for which the National Skill Development Corporation has been formed. The other ministries like the Ministry of Human Resource Development, the Ministry of Rural Development, and the Ministry of Urban Development and Poverty Alleviation have also launched their own skill upgrading programs and self-employment schemes. In fact, it is a matter of pride for me to stand here and for all of us to be aware that the chairman of the National Skill Development Corporation is Mr. M.V. Subbiah, who is the Emeritus Chairman of the Murugappa Group. He is the man who sits on the board of the NSDC, and the NSDC is on a private-public partnership mode to facilitate setting up of large, high-quality, for-profit vocational institutions. It also aims to set up 1,500 new ITIs and 5,000 skill development centers across the country, as well as a national vocational qualification framework, so that for affiliations and accreditations in vocational, educational and training systems. What is our next biggest ailment? That none of our certification programs and diplomas are certified at an international level. So there is this national vocational qualification framework which has been set up by the government of India under NSDC to sit and accredit institutions and come up with standardization across the country for qualification, certification of training programs and training content. I think that's a phenomenal area where HR professionals can play a major role in participating in these programs, in helping organizations and institutions get certified and accredited through the National Vocational Qualification Framework, as it's called NVQF. The other thing is that academicians are also of the opinion that pre-vocational courses should commence in India, preferably in class 9 and class 10 itself, so that, like the German model, in Germany, school children go to vocational training programs for 3 years. And with the result, every German would know how to handle a toolkit. Every German, like every Singaporean, is trained mandatorily for 2 years in the army. Similarly, every German national, every German citizen is trained for 3 years in vocational services, vocational training. And that's why today we talk about German engineering at its best. You see the Volkswagen and the BMW and the Skoda cars, they all belong to the Volkswagen family, and everybody aspires to own a Volkswagen car or a German engineering machinery, a German engineered machinery, and so on and so forth. So that's the secret of the German excellence in engineering and technology. I think that's where we all should have emulated Germany and other such countries as a national policy. This is my submission. Now, at the individual level, there is one other interesting aspect, because we are all, as HR and other professionals, we are always concerned with institutions like the AICTE, which is responsible for accrediting engineering and technological institutions and courses. The chairman of the All India Council for Technical Education says that 80% of the new entrants in the workforce have no opportunity for skill training. And he says that the existing training capacity is only 3.1 million per annum, as against 12.8 million joining the workforce. So what we can provide as a training infrastructure through the AICTE actually satisfies only less than 1/3 of the population that is entering the workforce. So that again is a major yawning gap in skill upgradation infrastructure that we are creating in the country. And so therefore, the UGC, the University Grants Commission, and the Standing Committee of the UGC has proposed that there will be 1,000 polytechnics which will be opened up in the next 5 years. And this is part of the plan to expand and overall the industrial training institutes, which is the ITIs, and the industrial training centers, which is again a public-private partnership of the government of India, to have industrial training centers being set up for training qualified as well as not qualified technical manpower. For example, companies like TVS, companies like Rane, companies like the Anand Group, companies like the Larsen and Toubro have all got their own in-house training centers and training institutions, so that they can churn out in their own small way hundreds of technically trained manpower to seek employment not only in their own companies post-training, but also be available to the country at large for gainful employment in technical vocations. So we need to have more of such courses. One other very interesting fact which I got about the use of internet and technology to make courses available to the general public, the reach and the speed which technology gives us through the internet is amply demonstrated by the fact that the Stanford University announced a course on artificial intelligence on the net, and it went through a mode which is called as the massive open online courses, what is called as MOOC, massive open online courses. It's like the Indira Gandhi Open University system. So they went open and on a massive scale, and it will stun you, it will surprise you, it will shock you to realize that they have got 160,000 students who have registered for the course from 190 countries. How many countries are there in this world today? Perhaps 220, 30, 40? 230 to 240 countries. 190 countries are represented in this course announced by Stanford University. And that's the power of internet and technology to make technical and non-technical courses available to the public. And many of you would have heard of Mr. Salman Khan, not the hero of Dabang, but Salman Khan from Bangladesh, who has opened up a university on the net, and he is probably supposed to be the most successful university on the net for courses anywhere from dentistry to aerospace. So Mr. Salman Khan's Walking University, or something like that it's called, is an example in today's internet world to popularize education among the masses. So that's the overall scene, ladies and gentlemen, for this program. And I have taken the pains to give you this overview because the minister who is supposed to be here, and hopefully we hear from the minister about macroeconomic issues on subjects like skill gap. I thought, sensing that a minister will not be able to come during a winter session, I took upon this as a proactive step to prepare myself to give you this talk on the macroeconomic situation in terms of where we are in terms of skill gap and what companies individually should do. The country may do so many things. The NCDC may do so many things. The ITS may do so many things. The All India, the AICTE could do so many things, but they can all do their part. But what is it that we can do? And so therefore we are here sitting in this ground here in Chennai Trade Center to understand what is it that are the issues from the apprenticeship advisor's point of view. He is going to come and talk to us. We are going to listen to the director of immigration. We are seeing now today when we go to a Sharavana Bhavan, we have to tell him in Hindi whether to ask him whether you have got masala dosa or coffee or things like that, because he doesn't understand Tamil, because he is from the northeast or from Bihar or from Odisha. And so therefore today we have an immigration of labor as a major issue, immigration of labor into India between states, and immigration of labor from India to other countries. So he is going to talk to us about what the real issues are at the ground level. And of course we have the Anand Group and the L&Ts and the the Ashok Leylands and all of that, all of them who are going to come and talk to us about what they are doing at their individual micro level in terms of improving the skill upgradation. Largely, it is left to us to tap the young minds, take them young, bring them into the organization, put them through a very structured training program, and upgrade their skills in keeping with the skill sets that are required for your organization. And so therefore, customizing, no AICTE, no UGC can customize the training that you can provide for your employees. And so therefore, it is really us, it is the onus is on us really to develop training programs and upgradation programs for our own employees and for our own managers and so on. So let's believe in training. Let this recession and this downturn not force your finance colleagues to cut down the training expenditure and the training budget and say training budget is now kind of withdrawn until March next year and so on. Slow down or no slow down, you require training. Culture, organization culture is not a culture one for good times and one for bad times. You don't have an organization culture for recession and an organization culture for boom time. Similarly, you don't require a time or a season for training. Training is everybody's business, and it is like religion. It has to be practiced. It has to be implemented. And so training and upgradation and management development for managers is the only solution that we have in terms of making the best out of the manpower that we have So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. It's been a wonderful start for the day. Thanks to the chairman who actually set the tone for the day by his introductory speech. And the pattern that we are going to adopt here is that we'll have 4 sessions. Each session will have a session chairman, preferably, ideally a veteran, a kind of a senior HR professional that you will all recognize by face and by name. And each such session chairman will guide the proceedings for each session. And then you will have 2 or 3 speakers in each session where they will share their experiences. We'll also have time for question and answer session. So thank you very much for coming for HR Caucus 2012, and let's make it a grand success. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir, for your facts. And for the inauguration of the session, we were about to have our Honorable Minister Dr. S. Jagatrakshagan, Minister of State, Industry and Commerce, but due to some political compulsions and unavoidable sessions in the Parliament, we are unfortunately not having him. But nevertheless, on behalf of him, we have Mr. Dinesh K. Babu to read a message directly from the Minister, and here we have the speech.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a privilege to have you all here again, the second version of HR Caucus. As GDS and Divya already told you, the Honorable Minister couldn't make it up to the session today. You know the political scenario in the country too now, and the Parliament being in session, he had some unavoidable reasons for not being able to make, but he was humble enough to send a message for the audience, which on his behalf, I am reading it to you. Noble delegates of various thriving and flourishing MNCs, academicians, corporates, and renovated personalities. A very good morning to one and all present. At the outset, I regret for not being able to attend the function, HR Caucus 2012, due to the winter session of the Parliament and also the circumstances beyond my control. As there is an emergency question from my ministry, which my presence is mandatory. HR Caucus 2012, with the title Bridging the Skill Gap, is a happening topic in the aspect of Indian scenario. Given the high-paced growth, dynamic investment climate in India, the demand for knowledge workers and high-level technical skills is only increasing. With expansion taking place across all the sectors, there exists a large need of talented resources. Part of the skill gap problem is that only a small percentage of India's young go for higher education. Not more than 7% of Indians aged 18 to 25 go to college according to official statistics. Even a more fundamental level of education is proving difficult, with nearly 40% of people over the age of 15 being illiterate. The university system of the new countries would be able to keep up with such demand, and India is certainly having a challenge in this area. Today's knowledge-driven, technology-oriented economy demand that workers have skills sets that are both advanced and more specialized. With these issues in mind, it is worth creating a base among the learned professionals, where they can multiply their ideas and create a stage of skill enhancement in various sectors. I congratulate Voltech for initiating such a forum to address the national issue. I request the participants to support this unique venture. I wish them all success in their current and future endeavor. I hope and now formally declare HR Caucus 2012 open. I wish that all the participants to have a good experience and knowledge sharing throughout this conference. Dr. S. Jagatrakshagan, Minister of State, Commerce and Industry. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
We feel proud to take the opportunity to felicitate our guest on stage. May I call Mr. R. Rajamanikam, Director of Voltech Infrastructure, to felicitate Mr. K.R.S.R. Krishna, Vice President, Petrofac Engineering Services Private Limited. I request Mr. T. N. Balu, Financial Controller of Voltec Group, to felicitate Dr. N. Sethuraman, Chairman and Founder of Meenakshi Missions. We expect the crowd to applaud them. I request Abhiram Sundar, Vice President Testing and Commissioning, Voltec Engineers Private Limited, to felicitate Mr. G. D. Sharma, Principal Beeline HR Advisory. I request Mr. Dinesh K. Babu, Director Voltec HR Services, to honor our Chairman, Mr. M. Umapati Sir, Chairman Voltec Group. Can we have Mrs. Vishnupriya Manoharan, AGM, HR Admin, Tech Pro Systems, to felicitate Mrs. Kalaivani Umapati, Director Voltec Engineers Private Limited. I request Dr. N. Sethuraman, Founder and Chairman Meenakshi Missions, to honor Mr. Murugeshwaran, Founder and Chairman Mover Trust. Next, can we have the keynote address by our chief guest, Mr. KRSR Krishna, Vice President, Petrofac Engineering Services Private Limited.
Good morning to you all. My respects to the dignitaries on the stage, It's a great privilege for me to be in front of so many HR people and talk about a keynote for today's initiative. It's very, very interesting what has been set as the stage for today. In today's condition, what the industry is really suffering, it's actually from the skill gaps what we have. And it's a wonderful drive, I think the meaning, discuss, review, initiate, validate, and endorse. It's a fantastic concept with which this particular stage has been set. And it's very, very difficult for us to face even our own small HR teams of 3 or 4. And it's really surprising to see so many HR people to face it. It's not an easy task really. But if you are the people really delivering what is required for industry actually. People, of course, we always talk about, every company talks about, this is a people company, this is a people company. Time and again people say that. And people, what are the right people, who are the right people, and where from you get, this is all in the hands of the HR teams actually. And it's a 3 cheers to the Voltech team who have been pioneering this kind of excellent drives. I think we should be energetic to applaud this particular one really. I'm really honored for the kind gesture from Dr. Mr. Umapati and his team members. And our association with Voltech started when we started our operations in Chennai. Petrofac as an MNC company abroad. They started their own offices first in Mumbai. Then we started a branch office, another one in Chennai in 2007. We were about to start a job. The first one demanded some kind of services in Chergui, a remote place where people cannot just enter. We are struggling really. Voltech is a team, Mr. Umapati plus Rajamanikam, these are the people who have supported. 35 people were loaned by them for us to start our first ever major project from Chennai office, and it was a great success. Today we are making a huge profits on that Chergui project really. We are very grateful to you, sir, for the wonderful beginning for Petrofac in Chennai for Petrofac MNC. HR Caucus, I think whatever they started, it's more of a collaborative thinking among several people from HR system. Usually I get an opportunity to talk only at the end. And stage has been set wonderfully by sirs who spoke in the beginning. All kinds of statistics, what are the prospects, what are the future plans, what is in place, what's coming up. Excellent it is set. So whatever I have written down here to speak about, it's all covered. Now I have to go with the drive concept. I have to think and create something new which I can share with you. As you are aware, you must be aware about Petrofac, we are more into oil and gas engineering industry, and my thinking, my requirements, my viewpoints, all will be more associated with this kind of business only. Though this HR team, which is seated here, most of you belong to different sectors of today's resource industry really. It's not necessarily oil and gas, it could be several sectors of business. But my thoughts are more oriented towards oil and gas engineering. Maybe with that perspective, I would put forth my views. Today's stage, when it is set, probably you can consider these kind of aspects and drive something that's really valuable for us to implement. Even yesterday, day before yesterday, we were just trying to recruit some people for our Saudi operations. And we had a couple of jobs earlier, and two more jobs came up recently. All 4 jobs require 400 to 500 staffing to be located in Saudi. So open house interviews we conducted. But the response wise, if you see, thousands and thousands of people were attending the interviews, but who are really fit to the bill, it's not so much really. So the reason is, no, availability of people are there, but fitting to the bill is a question really. How many people do you get really tailoring to your requirements really? That's a major one, where we need to really see organization development systems, the training procedures, the skill gaps, all these things we put together. We need to identify what exactly we need, what do we have in place, what is to be built again. And this particular concept of identifying the skill gaps in the national agenda of, as a bridging the skill gap, a national agenda of HR is the right statement today, right drive today. I think we need to all focus on and then try to make it a better success. As we know, we all talk about Srushti, Sthiti, Laya, all these things. So these 3 elements, any kind of operation you take it, now these 3 are definite. You have to start somewhere, you have to sustain the business operations, and then you have to conclude somewhere. This is the way even the entire universe works. I personally consider the Srishti Sitilaya are nothing but three main elements of any business operations. One is the HR, if it creates. Sustaining it is the management decision, and improving it and then see if it's not okay, you have to terminate it and then restart a process. That's the organizational development. I consider personally, maybe few of you may or may not get aligned with this concept. Srishti Sitilaya is nothing but your HR, your OD and the management. These three teams should work together to ensure what do we have in place, what do we need and what should we do further. And these are the three elements we should work really upon. Energy for the companies really. And we need to have HR full alignment with the management. Most of the occasions, we don't have real 100% alignment. HR thinks in one way and management wants something different. Again, with HR, you need to have OD team to be aligned fully. And that's also, to some extent, it's not 100% aligned. That's also a concern. And OD team should have an element with the management. These three are the main elements. One-to-one, you should have excellent relation, and we should build upon these particular relations. That's the greatest success of an industry. Now, industries are moving towards integrating the HR with the OD initiatives, and OD and HR together getting aligned with the management. These are the prime aspects today, which we should really look into it. Now, maybe when you start your discussions, I only request, if you can focus, what kind of anomalies could be there, what kind of misalignments could be there between any two of these three groups, and where can we bridge it, how to bridge it. That's very, very important for us now. And coming back to defining competency and talent, so most of the times you find assessments were made based on more emotions than the realities. See, of course, maybe again, people may or may not align with my statement. Competencies are more towards, if you are good to me and I am good to you, so your competence rating is very high. It is not the real skill what is happening in the market today. Honesty it has really come down to some extent. And so you don't really assess correctly. So assessment of competency, it's a real question now. Are we assessing the people correctly? Is the right person assessing the person? See, who is assessing? What is being assessed? These are all general questions starting with W actually. See, why, who, and when. These are the questions, and of course with how. These are the processes which we should very clear while assessing the competencies, and person who is assessing the competency, identifying the gaps, what sort of gap is available, and for that, what should we really do? Either is a fresh recruitment we should do it, or we should go for some kind of nice training programs. These are all the real hot topics today. Now we are also making our own programs in the company, Fit for 2015, Fit for 2013. These are the drives. Not only our company, many companies are doing these exercises. Everybody thinks with a lot of aspirations. This is what we want to look like after a couple of years. To get to that point, these are the elements you need to have in place. Do we have it or not? First place, they say we are not really up to that. What is missing? Assessing person should know really what exactly they're assessing, and you should come out with solid differential. And that is what I think this particular initiative should be looking at it. And by the evening, hopefully we'll have some kind of nice flavor saying that for the industry, if you are looking for this kind of elements, this is what is really missing, you need to focus on that. And gaps, I think, how they are created, that's also another aspect, everyone should look at it now. Industry is now today struggling with the middle level people who are actually delivering the goods now. Either you have very, very young talents who are not exposed to the industry, or very highly experienced senior people who will only manage. Managers will not do day-to-day work. And the trainees, the young generation, they don't know how to work really. This is the gap. People who can work, they don't know how to work. People who know the job, they really do not have an inclination to work. This is the gap. In between layer of really knowing something and delivering, that is what is missing. Few years before, everyone must be aware, all this brain drain has happened towards the software. Here, people must be there with software HR associates also. I am talking my words only, but people, please don't get offended. Industry, core industry people have migrated to certain extent to software, thereby creating a huge gap of working level intelligent people in the core industries. That is what is the real gap now. There is no way to address this one now, because that gap is anyway missing. It is only the fresh graduates to be groomed, trained, and then put into the groove. That's the only direction. And I think all corporates, all HR systems, all OD teams and the management should really look into the new generations coming up, how to groom them to your requirements, how to make them to fit your bill, and then encourage them, motivate them. And then, of course, ultimately, the bill is the factor really, what you pay to them really. These are all the very, very significant aspects. And this is what everybody should focus. In addition, again, as I said, Srishti Sitilaya, so if you just all HR teams together, we discuss, debate, and of course, we initiate actions and validate and ask. These are all things you do it. But again, it has to be owned by the teams from the organizational development teams and then management. And my only sincere request, since the excellent drive has been taken by Mr. Umapati and team, could we really think, maybe we can also support in future, a similar exercise of organizational development teams making together what is missing, and the management teams who are going to really fund it and encourage it and motivate it. Whether we can have this kind of forums also in future. The HR caucus is a fantastic drive, but it doesn't, I think, it doesn't end there. HR, unless you have OD support and then the support from the management. So all the three elements together only will be successful. And I think that's the direction one should look at it. Maybe I can join the forum if either Mr. Umapati takes the initiative, or I can myself take the initiative to call upon the OD teams of several companies in Chennai, in and around Chennai, have a forum like this. What is the skill assessment process and how are we assessing? Do we have a common platform for the skills for different types of jobs? And next layer is, again, the management. What sort of people we should invite? What should they buy into this one? These are the two more aspects which we should really look into it. And all three put together, HR, OD, and management, that is the requirement for the industry today now. Elements standing alone on their own, working on their own, is not going to really help a lot. But of course, it's a start point. The start is fantastic. This is the second year you have said. I hope it will continue forever, annually. And we keep on making innovations. We keep on innovating excellent drives like this and have something solid that should be taken forward to help the industry in future. I think with this, we'll give the right opportunity to you. And again, most of the organizations, you have the structure made. This is what we want, this is what we want. And those places, what we try to build is who is available, just fit it, rather than whether this is the right person to fit into the bill or not. This is where we have a difficulty. Right people, in right time, in the right place is, of course, it's seldom found in the market today now. Very few really fit to the bill. Balance all tailoring only. You have to tailor it. And the job descriptions, you have to tailor it. That is what is the business today now. And I hope we will have a common forum which will drive what is exactly required and which will really give a flavor, and then which will have a good focus towards achieving the industry requirements today. Maybe with this, I will try to conclude my session and hope by the evening we'll have some feedback from you, the way forward from HR point of view. And we look forward for similar sessions on organization developments and also on the management forums, which I'm volunteering from my side to support to Mr. Umapati and team. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that specific and very plan-oriented speech. Due to some commitments, he has to leave now. Before that, if anybody wants to take any Q&A with him, any questions, if you want to take it with Mr. KRSR, it's welcome. If any question has to be taken from Mr. Krishna, I welcome the audience to take it up. Mr. Krishnan is a Bachelor of Technology in Instrumentation and Bachelor of Science with a university first rank, and having over 20 years of experience in the field of designing, detailed engineering, site supervision, commission of projects related to oil and gas industry, both onshore and offshore, petrochemical and chemical EPC projects. He has worked with multiple MNCs, and now he is leading a team in Petrofac over here in Chennai. He is a common speaker on the subjects related to HR and related to operations. We are kind enough to have him over here today. And sir, as you suggested, the idea of developing through OD and the management interventions, the change which we can bring in, definitely we will take into our thought process, and the body of HR caucus will do the best what we can in this regards. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, as per the program schedule available, we are running a little bit delayed. Nevertheless, we'll come back to the track. I'm thankful to all the guests on the stage on the inauguration. We will break for 10 minutes for a tea, and we'll assemble back with yet another interesting session to be headed by the Rane Group President HR, Mr. Venkataraman. He is already here with us. He will be accompanied by Mr. Patrick of Mando and Mr. Tyagarajan from WAPCO. So we are going to have yet another interesting session post the tea break. I request all of you to kindly join us for the tea and assemble back exactly at 11 at the same venue. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.